Alrighty, thank you everybody for hopping on here today. Super excited about this week's Contractor Roundtable. You're here today probably because you're interested in seeing all the reporting and analytics best practices that we have seen over the years and how Followup CRM is helping contractors grow, get insight to their business, see what's going on. So what we're going to do here today is kind of look under the hood, and we're going to dive deep into some reports that we see really open our clients' eyes to what's going on to the business. And so you can take these reports, have a more strategic approach to them so that you can make the business decisions that you need to do to grow. So we're going to hop right on in. Just a little agenda for us today. We're going to do two things. Number one, I'm just going to give a quick overview of how to forecast on the homepage. A lot of people want to understand how clients are forecasting utilizing the homepage, and I want to show you a methodology on how to do that. And then once we do that, we're going to go through the top 10 reports, the top most popular reports within the system, dive deep and share with you why people are loving these reports. So we have an analytics tool on the back end that tells us, how many times this or that report is pulled. And, we're able to ask clients, hey, what kind of information does this report give you, and how do you make decisions off of that? So that's what we're going to talk about here today. So let me just minimize this. We're going to be looking at Best Roofing's account here. Before I hop into how to forecast on the homepage, I want to see everybody in the chat. I want you to post what reporting question you might have in the chat, or what's the hardest part about reporting. Post that in the chat, and hopefully I can get to that here today or along our journey. Something that you want to learn here today about reporting. So go ahead and post that there. And as those start to come in, I will hop in to how to forecast based off of the homepage. So here, thankfully, Best Roofing's account here gives us some easy numbers to work with. What is a forecast? We'll start at a high level. High level, a forecast is if you know the weather forecasts, sometimes they're on and sometimes they're off. The difficulty with forecasts is a lot of times that they're off, right? No one wants to be told that we're going to have a sunny day and then it turns out to be a storm out there, right? So forecasting gives you visibility into the future revenues that you're going to bring into the company. So if you're making future business decisions, it's important to be able to forecast your revenue so that you know and have confidence in what is next month's sales going to look like. What is the month after that going to look like, right? So that's what forecasting helps you do today. Now, the elements that we see here on the homepage allows us to accurately forecast. Clients have told me that month after month, they're within 2% of their forecast on a month-to-month basis. So it's really helpful. So let's talk about how specifically here, Best Roofing forecasts their business. So number one, we have the different components of a forecast. The way you calculate your forecast on what you're going to close next month. So let's take October, for example. You're going to want to know two things. Number one, your historical closing ratio. And then number two, your pipeline of hot deals. Okay, so those are the two numbers that you're going to need to forecast that, right? Now, on the right-hand side here, we have our historical closing ratio. Right now, they are closing at a 30%. So that gives us a nice and easy number to do some calculations on. And what they know, just to have nice and easy numbers, out of 10 projects that they're bidding, they're going to close 3 of them. Now, you might have a couple of questions here about the details about the closing ratio. A couple of things that we have is this closing ratio is based on a rolling year. So we add a day and we subtract a day every day so that you can have a accurate, up-to-date closing ratio so you can see what's going on. So tomorrow it's going to say 26, September 26, 2019 till September 26, 2020. So that allows you to really get a good pulse on the market and how your closing ratios are looking. So a couple of other things that we can notice here. We have a closing ratio based on the dollar amount, the closing ratio based on the bid amount. You can see there's a big difference, 53% and 30%. Now, I want to slow down and pause here. This is very important. Let's say you're bidding large jobs and small jobs. We'll call a small job $5,000, and we'll call a big job $500,000, right? We'll call it that. Let's say you're bidding 10 jobs, and you're bidding those 10 jobs, and 9 of those are the $5,000 jobs, and 1 of those are the $500,000 job. Just 1 of those jobs, right? Let's say that you win all of those $5,000 jobs. That means you're going to have a 90% closing ratio based on the bid. Now, when you lose that $500,000 job, right? So if we're saying 9 times 5, that's almost $1 million there. You're going to have a 50% closing ratio on the dollar, give or take. My math's not 100% on right, but you see the point. So based on the dollar amount, it's generally going to be lower if you're bidding these really big monster jobs out there. But it's also important to know that the quantity of bids that are going out there. So what they see is, you can also think about this in 2 ways, of service and construction. For their service business, they're pretty much winning every other job, which is great. So you can drill down into the closing ratio, customize it in a lot of different ways to see different parts of the business. Right now, we're just looking at the company at a high level, right? So again, we'll take a step back. 30% of the business, 30% closing ratio for the business. Now, how do I know what Best Roofing is going to close next month? What we're going to do is look at the pipeline. Now, the pipeline here, you can see that Best Roofing categorizes it in a lot of different ways, and you probably tweak this for your company, but everybody's going to have a sales status that indicates that these jobs are very close to be closing, right? And for Best Roofing, that's called the hot status. That might be verbal at your company or committed in your company, something around this area. Now, for the opportunity to land in this hot category, Best Roofing employees have to have a decision date within the next 30 to 60 days. All the Best Roofing employees know if it's falling in the hot category, they're going to move forward in the next 30 to 60 days, period, right? If it's not happening within the next 60 days, it's going to fall into the warm category. So that's how they're able to bucket and structure those different opportunity stages. So what they know is, if we take this bid amount, $31 million in hot, and a 30% closing ratio, now that's for Best Roofing committed over the next 30 to 60 days. So if we split this up into 2 months, we're looking at about a $5 million contract secured for the month of October. And if we look at September, we're nearing the end of the month here, you can see that they're doing pretty well. What we can see here in the center, captured contracts, they're almost at 6 million. They're probably going to hit it. Their goal for the month was 5.4. And that correlates to their bid volume, which we're seeing right here. Now, what Best Roofing knows is that they have to be feeding their pipeline based on the bids that we're looking at right here. So they know if they're bidding 17 million every month and they're looking to close 30% of those jobs, they will hit their revenue objective. So that's how you forecast and able to give some visibility into the future of the business. So I wanted to hit on that because that's really important. I get that question a lot. But now I want to hop into the top 10 reports that we see clients of ours loving. So number one is the lead recap report. The reason why I think that clients really tend to love this lead recap report is, number one, that's usually the first issue that people come to us looking to solve. Usually somebody calls into the business requesting some kind of work or service, and somebody writes it down, or it's an email request and it's floating all over the office. And what Followup does is help you centralize that in one place. So what we're going to do is pull the leads for just the last 7 days, a quick report here. And we're going to pull the lead recap report right here. And we're going to pull that. So as you know, you can pull it in Excel or PDF. So here we go. So this report, we can see a couple of different things. Best practices means that you should always have two things when it comes to every lead that comes into the business: a sales status assigned and an account manager. If a lead does not have one of these two things, then you're not categorizing it correctly, and you're not assigning it to an individual that's responsible for moving this lead from an opportunity to a sold deal. So super important best practice. How will you know if there's something not assigned? This will be empty and this will be empty. Maybe we can find one here, but you can see Best Roofing's pretty disciplined with assigning these opportunities in these areas. So you can see the status and the account manager. Super important to pull this report on a weekly basis and make sure everything is assigned. Best Roofing is fanatical about doing that, and that's part of the reason why they're so successful as they are. And you can see some of these opportunities have already been closed. So very important report. Another reason why people really like this report is that we're categorizing it by the lead type. So you can see this category is all under current clients. You can see there's 2 pages of that, a third half of page. Next category we have is signage. So we can see the leads that came in based off of their signs. Best Roofing has signs on highway, or maybe it's the truck that somebody saw off the street and they mentioned it in the they mentioned it on their call. And then we also have a category for account manager. So opportunities that were generated by the account manager, they want to make sure they are giving credit to those people that way. So let's see what else we have. Website, general contractor, referral, manufacturer. So those are the summary. You can see last week they brought in 117 individual lead records, and the pipeline generated from that $500,000. 4 of those converted to a contract within a week, which is great. Of course, that's going to grow over some time here. Next, we have some report summaries. This is really critical to get the insights that you're looking for. We break this report down into 2 stages, the lead type, and then the status, so you can see the progress on those leads. Number 1, the lead type. You can see, basically we took all those, we categorized that into a summary view so that you can see where is Best Roofing getting most of their business from. Right here, current clients. So they're managing their business by serving their current clients really, really well. It's generating more opportunities for themselves. And then they're acquiring new clients, of course, in other ways, as we're seeing right here. Right now, another great thing about this section right here is that we can see how many of these leads actually convert to a contract and convert to a proposal and to a contract. Now this is very big. So you can see their current clients, 50% of these will convert to a contract. So what does that tell you? To double down. Now on the other hand, let's take a look at these. Website leads, 0%. You can see one of them was proposed to. Hot sheet. All these other activities, they're generating some leads, but they're not closing. So this allows you to double down on your investments in the right areas. And so this is how it plays out for Best Roofing. What they may not do is think, oh, okay, maybe we need to go digital and promote our business there. No, what they're doing is they're making sure their client experience is top notch, is better than anybody else out there in the market. An example of that, when they finish up a job, it's a funny little story. They deliver what they call as a closeout book, which talks about, the project that they completed, the different elements of the roof, the warranty, all of this in a nice, binder that they can put on the shelf and reference in the future for the next 5, 10, 20 years, right? And a lot of clients do that for sure. But the icing on the cake is Greg Wallach's wife actually bakes something called a Jake cake. Jake is their mascot. It's a dog that you'll see plastered all over their company if you ever visit one day. And she bakes a cake for the client, and their business development representative who's delivering this book also delivers a Jake cake to the client. And that's how they're taking their clients to the next level. Super memorable, super great experience. And as you can see, they're doubling down on what's working rather than experimenting and wasting money on things that aren't working, right? So double down on what's working. Next is the sales status here. You can see where all of these opportunities are. You can see a lot of these opportunities are in the inspection category that they have, and then service hot, so that they're on top of these. You can check out all of these contracts statuses right there. So very popular report, critical to implement on your weekly basis so you can make sure things aren't falling through the cracks. I talk to a lot of people that say, we need more leads. And I want to push back. I want to say, are you managing your leads this well? Because if you're managing your leads this well, then a lot of times, you'll have enough business to work with. So that's what we believe here at Followup. So enough about this report. We'll minimize this and we'll go on to the next popular report, which is the bid proposal report. So this is a classic report. You might be using it in your sales meetings today. If not, I definitely recommend that you do so. I'm going to pull the same categories of bids for the company over the last 7 days. And we're going to see what we get here. Okay, so let's zoom in here. A couple of notes about this report. All right, so you can see project ID, contact information, company, when the proposal was delivered, the sales status, the account manager, estimator, takeoff person, office, contract type, bid amount, the source, the bid date, the follow-up date. So very similar to the lead recap report, but what this shows us is which leads converted into an actual proposal that was delivered. So the reason why that's important is, let's say you get 10 leads that come into the business and 5 actually convert into a proposal. You might win 2 of those, but you also need to know your lead conversion ratio from lead to bids, because maybe all you need to do is increase the quality of those 10 leads rather than get 20 leads, if you see what I'm saying. So it's important to understand how many leads are actually converting into an actual opportunity. So this report helps you see that. Another really critical insight that this report allows you to do is a lot of clients come to us are saying, our bids are falling through the cracks, right? And this report will tell you what bid is falling through the cracks, right? And so how do I know what's falling through? I can look at this report and instantly see 2 bids that may fall through the cracks. And as a sales manager, as a salesperson, as a project manager, you have to make sure these aren't falling through the cracks. So if you can see that in this report, I'll give you a pat on the back. But the way I can tell what may fall through the cracks is right here, the next follow-up date, right? So you can see it's 2 small opportunities. I'm gonna call out the account managers right here who don't have a follow-up date scheduled. Oh, well, there's the reason why. This one is dead, and this one is a contract. So they're doing good. So these 2 are dead and contract, but whenever you don't see a follow-up date scheduled on this bid proposal report, that's a huge best practice. You have to make sure that your team is following up on every open proposal that they have out there, because that's where the money is. A client of mine told me how they won a hotel in Miami, and it was a $3 million job. It took him 3 years to close that job. Most people would just stop following up. However, this person kept on following up once a quarter, and after they finally won this $3 million job with I believe it was about 50% profit margins, the owner asked the person managing, "Hey, why did you choose us?" And they said, "Well, after the first year, nobody followed up." And that's the only reason why, that they were the high bidder on the job. And that's the only reason why they won the job. So I promise you, we see people grow. We see more contracts sold literally by just making sure everything is being followed up on. So that's a little bit about the bid proposal report, crucial, critical report. So you can see everything that was bid for them just last week. And then we can also see here some summaries so that we can see these are all the salespeople at this company, the number of bids that they do, and then the bid amount as well. So we can see, Christine here, she's actually an administrative person, so she's helping out there. But you can see Craig, 20 bids, Norman with 29 bids. He's actually the #1 salesperson, and it shows, right? Why? Because he's getting the most out there. All right, so lots of other details that people can look at too, but really take the time to take a look at this report. Next report, captured contracts, critical. So we looked at leads, we looked at bids, and now we want to look at contracts. What does that look like? Let's pull the same thing for last week. All right. So here we have the contract date, bid date, selling cycle. Super important to see. You can see 20 days, 35 days, 441 days, almost 400 days, right? Take a look at this 441, $300,000, almost 400 with the 34% profit margin. Why did he win this one? I promise you, it's probably because he was the last man standing, right? Who's going to follow up after a year and a half? Most contractors aren't sophisticated enough to be disciplined to make sure they're following up on that. But that's a game changer job. If you're closing multiple jobs like this every month, that's going to be a game changer for your business. So you definitely have to make sure that is happening. And how did he do that? He, like on the last report, he's making sure everything is being followed up on. So you can see all these jobs that they're winning. Sales cycle is critical to know. If you're doing larger jobs or smaller jobs, your sales cycle is going to vary. So for example, this would be a larger construction job, but these smaller jobs, you can see 15 days, $5,000, right? And that's about average. So these smaller jobs are more about volume. You want to get more of these because they're at a 50% margin, right? And these are going to take longer. So these are going to be your relationship-based sales generally. So if I come down here, let's see here, this 2-page report. We can break it down by account manager. We have estimators on the account as well. So super important. You can see right here on the bottom, last week they won 33 jobs, average sales cycle, 95 days, $3 million. So I want to show you this report again, but filtered for small jobs, just so you can see the difference. It's important and critical to see when gaining insight. This report can show you how you should probably divide your, let me see here, how you should divide your teams up, right? So if you have, let's say you have 2 people doing sales at your company, one should be on construction and one should be on service, so that they can optimize for their sales process, right? So you can see September, we filtered by service, and you can see their average sales cycle is 50 days, right? And you can see these are the smaller jobs, but they're the higher margin jobs. I think you can see 60% margin. That's great, right? It's a small job, but still, you want people focused on the smaller service jobs. So these guys can close, how many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're closing, five jobs a week each. So they're able to knock one of these down a day, and those wins are great. So let's do the same thing, but for the large jobs now. Like I said, different sales process, different sales cycle, more relational. So you're gonna approach these with less aggressiveness, more relational approach than you would the service job. So you can see they won 5, and the average sales cycle is 316 days. This is a different kind of sale, right? And $3 million, right? So you're gonna want a different kind of salesperson managing these high ticket jobs. I hope that makes sense. It's really critical to, especially when you're growing and maybe you reached a growth ceiling, to start to segment those sections out into small jobs and to big jobs, so that you can really get to the next level and start the process of optimizing your business. Next report. Client sales history report. This is a newish report that we've built according to some clients that requested it. So I'm just going to pull this report year to date. I would encourage you to play around with this report and let us know what your thoughts are. Let's see here. Let me pull last year. Okay, let's try this here. Okay. All right. So here, what is the client sales history report? Best Roofing is actually a bad example because they don't do new construction. This is great if you're doing new construction, you're working with GCs. Best Roofing doesn't really do that. But what this is going to be able to tell you is, let's say you're bidding to a GC. Let's say you have 10 GCs that you're bidding to regularly, and you want to see your sales history with each one of them. We're going to list your client's name and then how much you won with them in that year that you pulled the report in. So this is going to be able to tell you, hey, is this a good client? Are we winning a lot of work from them or not? And if not, what do we need to do to win more work? Do we take them out to a dinner? Do we ask them, hey, we're bidding to you guys a lot, but we never win anything. So maybe you want to make a decision to stop bidding to them or court them and see, how they could improve your bid, because you don't want to waste your time estimating jobs that you have zero chance of winning, right? So that's how you would utilize the client sales history report. We have clients coming back. Hey, Abby, I'm reading your question here. That's a really great point. I'm going to show you exactly how to get the percentage from what you're looking for here, okay? So the client sales history report, it's gonna give you a snapshot of what you have won. But Abby here is asking, what about what I bid to them? To find that, what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna come to your client, and then you're gonna go to the client profile. which is critical. Again, Best Roofing is a bad example, but in the client profile, we have what we call as company analytics. And this is going to show you all the open jobs that you have with them, and then the percentage of what you have won with them. So let's say you're bidding $100 million, you win half of that, then you'll have a 50% closing ratio. Abby, I hope that answers your question. If not, let me know. But check that out in the system. That will allow you to pull those analytics so that you can see that. Great. Thank you, Abby. Is there a report to compare clients? That's really what the client sales history report is going to be about. I would pull that as a spreadsheet or an Excel report, and then you'll be able to sort and filter that report so that you can see your top clients that you're winning work from. Hope that answers your question. Okay, so let's go to the next report here, the gross margin captured contracts. Okay, so another critical report. So now that we have won the contract, we're going to move on to the gross margin. So who wants to win work for a 5% gross margin? Nobody. How do we manage the gross margin on the reports, on the contracts that we're winning? This is how we're going to do that. So again, I'm going to pull the last 7 days of contracts that they won, and we're going to click gross margin captured projects, and we're going to pull this report. All right, so let's take a look here. For last week, so very similar to the captured projects report, the main difference here is we're going to look at the contract amount, the gross margin, and we give you the calculation for that, right? So for this $1.7 million job, we have a gross margin of 25%. So this is the gross margin that they're making on that job, right? So I believe at Best Roofing, I can double check that they have a policy for service jobs or small jobs and large jobs of the gross margin that they are willing to bid. For larger jobs, I believe they don't bid anything under 25% for their large jobs, right? Because it's just not worth the time, money, effort, headache to do that, right? And on their larger jobs, on their smaller jobs, they don't bid anything under 30%, I believe, for their service jobs. And the reason why, again, they want to make sure their profitability on those jobs are great because they still have labor to pay. They still have materials to pay. That eats away at their gross margin. So they want to make sure they are capturing the most gross margin they can up front. And as you can see, you might be sitting here asking, wow, how can I get 58% gross margin, or 50, let's try to 36 on a $200,000, on a $600,000 deal. That's great. That's money that you can definitely pay people with. So how do we do this? We're going to dive into that here a little bit, but how can you raise your gross margin on your jobs? To answer that question, to give you a little teaser, it's all about who you're bidding to and becoming experts in that area. And I'm going to dive into that here in a little bit. But anyways, here's really important to check out the gross margin to make sure, our best practice is to set a policy at the company. We're not bidding anything under 25% or whatever it is. And then use this report to flag anything under a particular gross margin, because it's just wasting everybody's time, honestly. There are other people out there. There are the chuck in the trucks that will take that low margin, no pay work. But the sophisticated professional contracting business, like all of you are, should bid these high margin quality jobs that you can deliver a quality service for. So you can see here some summaries that we have there. Alrighty, so moving on to the next one. We're gonna get into some graphs and charts. These are great. I love these kinds of reports. We're going to pull what we call is a monthly captured projects bar chart. This one right here. This is a great report if you've been with us for over a year, okay? So I'm going to change the date, the filter by date, and I'm going to take it back all the way to 2018 here. I'm going to say January 2018 to, I'm going to say the end of this year, December 31st. Obviously, we're not there yet. Hopefully 2020, we will make it there. We'll see, depending on how this year is going. But now I'm going to get the report. So just to repeat myself here, we're looking at the monthly captured contracts bar chart. So here's that report. Okay, so let's walk through this. What this is showing us are the contracts that Best Roofing has won, broken down by month and by year, so that you can compare January 2018, 19, and 20. All righty, so January 2018, 4.2 million. January 2019, 4.1. Not too much of a difference, nothing to be alarmed about. January 2020 had a good month. So that's the kind of growth you want to see. That's good stuff, right? Now let's check this out. February 2018, 3 million. 2019, 7.5 million, and now 2020. What I would do in this scenario, you can see if you're looking for year-over-year growth, that is really difficult to achieve when you have a monster month like this, right? And it's not fair to be upset with your team because maybe you won a $3-4 million job in this month, which might come, once, twice, 3-4 times a year. It's infrequent, right? So it's not fair to have the quota be 8 million just because you want to see the growth. What you would do in the scenario is say, okay, this is a $3 million job. Let's spread it over the whole year so that we can achieve our growth year over year instead of month over month. So you can see here, their growth year over year is 151%. So that's the insight that this report can give you. And what this allows you to see is trends, right? So you can see March 18, 19, 20, things are looking good, right? So down here, we're in October. So as soon as we kick off next month, we'll fill out these two missing bars here, but that does allow us to see your yearly trends when it comes to captured contracts. Now, this same concept can be pulled for bids, proposals, right? So we can make sure our trends are going in the right direction. Super important report. The next one I want to pull here is called the gross margin pipeline chart, which is this one. So let me pull this here. All righty. So just to repeat this, gross margin pipeline chart. So this is showing us on the homepage, like we see on the homepage, the pipeline graph. It looks familiar with all the colors, right? But the average gross margin on those jobs. So you can see all the ones that are hot, their average gross margin is 27%. That's pretty good. Warm, 30%. We're tracking, we're making sure all of our gross margin is there so that we're bidding the right kind of work. So really good, insightful report so you can make sure what your gross margin is looking at. So very simple report, but very great as well. Let's see here. Next report that we want to look at. So most people stick to these reports that we're looking at up here. I would definitely encourage you to check out this level of reporting. This just allows you to slice and dice it in a lot of different ways. The next one I want to look at that is critical. I told you I was going to talk a little bit about how Best Roofing grows their profits, grows their gross margin on captured contracts. This is exactly how they're doing this. After some time in the system, they were able to come to the client profile report tab, select all. These are all the different kinds of work that they're bidding to. You can see that there. And then, I actually want what do I want here? I want a profile chart. I want the graph. Alrighty, I want this one. And then I'm going to pull that graph. Let's see here. All right. So obviously there's one that really stands out here, 54%. Most of their bids are condos that they're winning. And then we have warehouse, we have some retail and office buildings. So what does this tell Best Roofing? That if it's a condo job, they are positioning themselves in the market as the leader in condo multifamily commercial work. And why is that important? It's because when other people start to bid on those jobs, Best Roofing can say, yeah, we specialize in condo and multifamily. You can see their average gross margin on those jobs are 53%. Unbelievable. So that when they're positioning themselves in the market that way as the roofer for condo and multifamily, they're going to win those jobs more than likely, right? Same thing when it goes to warehouse and retail. But they're doubling down, again, on what's working. And when you're the expert in an area, you're allowed to charge a premium for that. Here's an example. A Windows computer versus a Mac computer. At the end of the day, it's a computer, right? But people pay more for Macs. They pay that premium because they want a little bit extra, right? They want the sleek design. They want all the things that you get with Apple, right? And so Best Roofing is trying to be the Apple for condo multifamily roofs, right? So that's how you grow your gross margin and charge a premium on your bids and gain that brand in the market. So crucial in how they're growing their gross margins. So the next report that I want to look at here, and this will be the last report for us today, is the contract type report. This allows you to really take a step back from the business, slice and dice the contracts that you have secured in a way that you can see, how big is this business or that business. I actually want a graph here. So I'm going to pull this report. What we're looking at here are all the contract types that you are bidding. So it's going to look a little bit different for your company. For Best Roofing, they do construction, large jobs, service, small jobs, public bid, residential, service, and construction. So I'm going to pull that and we're going to look at that. All right. So 88% of the jobs that they win dollar-wise are construction. So most of their top line revenue is coming from their big jobs. And then the other spot here is their service jobs. 56 million. Now that's where the margin is. This is where you're getting your 50 to 60% margins. But you can see here, right next to it is the number of bids, right? So even though the revenue is coming from here, the bids are only 1,600, right? Where on the other hand, the bids for here are a lot more. Best Roofing does about 7,000 transactions per year when it comes to that. So this allows the owner to say, okay, we have a large service organization, high profit margin. This is funding the rest of the business where these are in baseball. I'm a baseball guy. These are your base hits. These are your home runs, right? And the base hits are helping you, get the points, and then the home runs come in and you get a nice contract there. So those are some of the top 10 reports that we have developed with our clients over time. Tons and tons of reports that you can look at, slice and dice, filter by. We didn't even touch products and services or the sales status or master client. We didn't talk about any of those. I'll pull this graph and chart here so you can see how they do that. Really great report. All right, so here we can see most of their business, again, large re-roofs right there, and then service here for these smaller jobs. But I would encourage you to sit down in front of the reports, pull company reports, division reports, user reports, allow you to really double down on what's working. I would encourage you guys, if you have an outstanding salesperson that is just really killing it, use the reports to figure out what's making them so outstanding and reproduce that into your other sales people, estimators, project managers, so that you can utilize the powerful tool that Followup is to really grow your businesses, because that's what we're here to do today. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to chat with us here today. If you have any questions on pulling these reports, or maybe it's not working for you, reach out to us via the chat. We're happy to help you out, pull these reports, and show you how to do it, and dive in even deeper one-on-one. Thank you guys. Have a good day.